What's going on, all my Marvel, MCU, zombie horror fans out there, and welcome back to tonight's Wednesday's live streams where myself, my amazing co-host, and sometimes we have special guests on, which we'll have tonight coming in a little bit. We talk Marvel cinematic stuff. We talk about the latest episode of What If, which, man, I can't wait to dive deep into tonight's episode and really bite into it, all pun intended, but really excited for that. But we got some Marvel news to talk about. Shang-Chi kick some ass at the box office, literally, that we'll be talking about, and some other films have looking at Shang-Chi is like, all right, now we can go ahead and bump our movie up a couple weeks. We'll be talking about that. We got a little bit of Black Panther news that came out the other day that I'm really excited for, and then there's a little bit of drama going on with Marvel and Disney in particularly, and the Russo brothers. The brothers might take their ball and go home and maybe not come back to the MCU, so we'll be talking about that tonight. So listen, guys, it's going to be a fun discussion topic, and I want you guys to tune in or say join into the conversation. There's going to be a lot of stuff to talk about. So if you're tuning in live, thank you guys for coming in on this Wednesday night. Make sure you're liking the video, sharing the video, commenting, and of course, if you can do the same on the replay, it'll be greatly appreciated. So let me bring in my regular co-host. One of our co-hosts is doing some incredible stuff right now covering TIFF, and that's Amanda, but she'll be back not next week, but the following week. So everyone send her some love, and I can't wait to hear her thoughts on Dune and all the films she's going to get to check out. But I got my man here representing the East Coast. We're going to be talking to him and getting his thoughts on Shang-Chi and hearing what he thought about the film and, of course, everything else tonight. I'm talking about my man, Chris from Tait. What's going on, my friend?
Gang. What's up, my guy?
What's up, man? How we doing?
Doing well, man. Happy Wednesday. Nice little short week thanks to the holiday. So we good. We grooving.
Hey, man, we got some stuff to talk about, man. We got zombies tonight, which I'm a fan of. We're talking Infinity War, which is my favorite film in the MCU. And we got some drama to talk about with the Russo brothers, man. So a lot of good stuff to talk about, my friend. But enough of kind of introducing everything, man. How have you been? What you been up to, man? How you been living your best life out there in New York, man?
Everything's been good, man. I had a nice little holiday weekend. I had a wedding to check out in Florida, so I was out there dipping and dabbing. You know, I wore my mask out there. Everybody was looking at me crazy.
Any boat driving? I know you're the captain.
Right? Nah, that's crazy. Now I gotta find a boat everywhere I go. I'm not even a boat dude. Now it's gotta be part of my image. Now. It's like, yo, is there a boat here? Anybody? But yeah, it was dope. And then I got to come back to New York for some, of course, more partying. It's last a little bit of summer. You gotta go hard. So.
Yeah, man, because the winter is right around the corner, as Jon Snow would say. The winter is coming, man. But hey, Chris, man, if this is the first time people are tuning in, watching the replay, if you want to let them know what you're about and where they can find you, man, go right ahead, my friend.
Yeah, shout out Real James in the chat. I'll never be a Heat fan ever. So yeah, my name is Chris Tait. You can find me at Tate's Take on YouTube. I do movie and TV show reviews. Give you a little background, let you know if I think it's worth y'all time. All my information is in my bio, so I know it's in the description here. I know we got a nice little community here. I see some of the OGs rocking with us, but if you don't know who I am, you can find my stuff there. I got my Instagram and my Twitter linked in there, so I'm very easy to find. And I just love having these conversations with the man, the myth, the legend of E. So let's get it popping.
Yes, sir. We're going to get some great discussions tonight, guys. And like Chris said, check out his links in the bio, his Instagrams, his Twitters, and, of course, his YouTube channel. A lot of great content, a lot of great takes, and you guys won't be disappointed. But Chris, our homegirl is out of, doing her thing right now in TIFF, and she'll be back. But, luckily we have someone coming in, as a special guest. He's been on the channel before, and this gentleman here, you talk about content and great content and great opinions. Nice. This man always brings the heat. I'm so excited to have him on talking about this episode and talk about some of the other topics that we have tonight. I'm talking about the one and only Brandon from Just My Opinion Reviews. What's going on, Brandon?
Hey, what's going on, y'all? How y'all doing?
Doing good, man. How you been doing, my friend?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good. Thanks for asking. Thanks for having me. I'm very, very excited. What's good, Chris? How you doing?
My guy, what's good, my guy?
Chilling. Ready to get into all this. Ready to get in.
We got some stuff to talk about, Brandon. But hey, man, if this is the first time people are tuning in, they're not too familiar with your amazing content, why don't you let the people know where they can find you, my friend?
Yeah, I'm B. Avery, or Brandon Keith Avery. You can find me here on YouTube at Just My Opinion Reviews, and Elliot has my handle on the screen. And what I do on my channel, mostly YouTube, is just really give my opinion on all the latest movies, all the latest takes, all the latest entertainment news that drops, because everything is subjective, and it may be a non-spoiler review, a spoiler review, trailer reaction, may get lucky doing an interview, and maybe a live stream here or there. So if you like that, come on over, subscribe, and let's have fun.
Do it, ladies and gentlemen. I've had the opportunity to come on his channel quite a few times on his movie weekly roundup, which is such a great panel, such a great discussion. So definitely, guys, subscribe to Brandon's content. And Brandon, man, I got a question for you. I haven't watched your review yet, but Karen, you saw Karen, man. You made it out on the other side. You survived, man. Is Karen worth the watch, my friend?
Hey, man, if you want to just watch something ridiculous and hilarious, feel free. But it's not to take anything seriously. I was at the beginning of the review. I don't even know if it was a parody or a comedy or it was a serious thing they were trying to do, but it was a mess. They really went for it with that one right there. So it was pretty cringeworthy.
I didn't see the bleach bottle, so I'm like, oh, maybe it isn't as bad, but
yeah,
it
was this close.
It was close.
Yeah, I probably should have brought it out, to be honest with you. But
what is Karen on? I saw your thumbnail and I just knew that it was trash. But what platform is Karen on?
I think it's on Amazon Prime.
Okay,
I think I didn't watch it there though, but I think it's on Amazon Prime.
Is it BET related too? So I could have sworn it was okay.
That's what it is.
The trailer.
BET, well,
it may be on BET. Yeah, one of those two. But it was a good hour and 21 minutes of hot garbage.
At least it was only an hour 21.
Right. Well, hey guys, this is why we got Brandon, man. He takes one for the team.
I want y'all to see it.
I might have to give it a watch tonight on Amazon, man, and have a good. It's always good to have a good laugh, and especially in the dispense of a bad movie. But man, speaking of non-bad movies, we had a film that came out just recently, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Now we got a couple people in the chat that have seen the film. I want to get. I've heard Brandon's take on the film, and we've had some great discussions about it. Spoiler review that he dropped on his channel and all that stuff. But I haven't heard Chris's opinion on the film quite yet. So Chris, you don't have to go into a 10-minute video review type of setup, but just your initial thoughts on the film. Did it stick the landing? The martial arts work for you? I'm going to throw a question in the chat in regards to spoilers. I want to get your thoughts on some of the things. But before I do that, just let the people know what you thought about Shang-Chi, my friend.
Yeah, well, first I got to start with just the ambiance, because I got to see it. Well, I didn't get to see a screener, but I saw it just like Thursday night, opening night. So I got to see the first show in IMAX in the biggest theater we have here in the city. So like, Energy was already crazy. So like, that's already a win. Damn, Nacho line they ran out of cheese. I'm gonna tell you that right now. They ran out of cheese. The cheese was all downstairs, and then the dude brought the cheese up, and I was like, I'm guessing it's not hot. And he's like, I could put it in the oven. 2 seconds of the oven is not going to be hot enough cheese. But anyway, the point is, the energy was there, and I was like, okay, we back to like, it felt like the first time of a regular movie since the pandemic. So that's when I was the first win. I was like, okay, like, Black Widow had a good crowd, Quiet Place had a good crowd, but this one just felt like normal, and I was like, all right, this is fire. The movie itself was better than I thought it would be. I didn't think it would be whack. I don't think Marvel can make a whack movie anymore. I really just think that they're just on autopilot right now. Like, the movies are just going to be like, the worst they can do is be like a 7 out of 10. But it was just a little better than I thought it was, because just to build up the story. I was talking about it earlier. Like, they didn't waste no time to get started. It wasn't it was just like you in it. And of course, I couldn't help but compare it to Mortal Kombat, and just like how that missed the mark for some people at certain parts. I'm like, it's better in every single way. The only part I didn't like was, I think the last battle was a little drawn out with the dragons and all that kind of thing. It was a little too mystical for me. I was kind of getting out of it, but everything else about it, I love the whole cast. I was talking to E. I love Awkwafina and everything she does. I'm a big fan. Obviously, Shang. I never watched Kim's Convenience, but he's great here, so I guess he's good. Loved his sister in the movie, and just like the random cast. Like, and I was trying to figure out for the longest who the guy with the sawed off arm was. I couldn't think of it. I was like, I try not to cheat. It's fucking guy from Creed. I was like,
Creed, man.
That's Big Draco.
Wow.
Wow. So I was like, it was bothering me the whole movie, but I was just like, the movie was fire. I left out of there, and then the post credit scene was fire. Like one of the more interesting post credits we've seen. But I thought, for an origin movie, like they took some risks. I like it, and I'm excited to see the future. If they can nail Eternals, then Marvel's is they grooving for another 5-6 years.
I agree with everything you said there, man. And I pose a question in the chat to everyone in regards to spoilers. I'm going to give it another couple minutes before we maybe get into some spoiler conversation just to see where you guys are at. But yeah, man, I agree with a lot of what you said there, man. And also quick shout out to everyone in the chat joining us tonight. We got James in the chat. We got Rims always showing some love. We got a lot of amazing people in here. What's going on? We got Latrice in the building. And then my man Brandon, who's on the panel, showing love by coming on tonight, but also showing some love with the super chat. Thank you for the 50K. Thank you, Brandon. I appreciate you, man. As you're on the stream, I can thank you in person or visually speaking. I appreciate that, my friend, and I really do, man. And yeah, man, I think based on this this poll here, it looks like everyone's okay if we talk a little spoilers. I got about 13 votes that say yes, so I'm just gonna jump right into it.
Yeah, y'all hit that thumbs up too. Thumbs up, thumbs up.
Yes, sir. Thumbs up, share, all that good stuff. But I need to know, Chris, what'd you think about the first post-credit screen? Let's go post-credits, and then we'll talk a little bit about one of my biggest criticisms, which is Trevor. But post-credits, man, in regards to, you spoke a little bit about the future of Marvel. Mm-hmm. What did that first post-credit scene allude to you in regards to what we can maybe expect with this character?
Well, we got a lot of answers to be had about the rings that we didn't get in the movie, so I want to see what's happened to that. We don't have any idea. Well, I don't have any idea how the Hulk is Banner now again. Still with a messed up arm, which, come on, it's the Hulk. You gotta figure that out. But I love the flashback it gave me to Endgame with the screens and all that. With seeing Captain Marvel, that is.
Yep.
And there's a little banter about like I don't have her number and all that. I was like, this is just, it's great because it's like you got a brand new character and then you bring in the classics that we know and love. So it's just like, thanks for rocking with us with this new character, but here's a little tease of what you can expect, that this is going to be connected, that this is where we're going, and you got a lot to be excited for. I thought it was dope.
And Brandon, I know we talked about it on your channel, man, in regards to the post credit scenes. But since we last spoken, have you thought any more theories or anything in regards to your thoughts on the origins of the 10 rings and where that beacon could be alluding to moving forward?
Man, I have no idea. I know I'm excited though. I can't freaking wait and I think that's why I'm so excited, because I have no clue what it could be. As far as stuff I've heard, I mean, people are saying that it could be a beacon to Galactus. Hey, I don't know. Why not? Some people saying it could be to some evil celestial. I don't know. I have no clue. Some people like the Shi'ar or the Shi'ar Empire. I don't know. I'm just excited, and I'm kind of glad that I don't know either.
That's a good point. Yeah,
I think this is the first time where I've seen a post-credit scene and I've been completely clueless. Usually, the first one I'm like, oh, that's Thanos in 2012 with different. Oh, that's what this means. Or that's Adam Warlock. Or I just know.
The hammer.
But but I have no clue right now, and so that's kind of fun. So we'll have to see.
Yeah, man, I'm right there with you. I mean, there's of course been all the speculations and the incredible ending explain videos that a lot of the great content creators out there making, and we talked about too, Brandon, on your channel. I think as you mentioned, Celestials, Deviants, maybe tie into the Eternals. I don't know. I can't recollect in regards to a post-credit scene leading into the exact same movie. They normally do a post-credit scene that's like maybe 2 or 3 movies down the road. So I don't know if it'll go right into Eternals, but we know. I don't think Shang-Chi was supposed to come out before Eternals after all the mix-up and the shifting of the schedule. So maybe Shang-Chi was supposed to come out, and then 2 films later, the Eternals, but I don't remember the initial release dates of those films. So I'm thinking Eternals. And
I'm thinking Strange, just because of all the connections that they already had. Like,
yeah.
And you got time to fit it in.
Yeah, that is a point too, and to the only thing, and I think you talked about it, Chris. Banner, man, I'm not a fan of what the MCU's been doing with Bruce Banner. Is he the Hulk? Is he Professor Hulk? Is he normal Hulk? A lot of people I know, E-Man mentioned on the spoiler we had that it might lead into She-Hulk, and he had to maybe do the blood infusion and all that stuff. But I don't know. We'll see what they do with Hulk moving forward. He's been killer in the What If series, but we'll see.
Are we getting? Is She-Hulk in 2021?
No, I think it's next year. I think the rest of the year we got Hawkeye. I think Miss Marvel got pushed back to next year, but it's supposed to be Hawkeye and Miss Marvel supposed to close out the year, but we'll see.
I'm excited about it, man. I got to be honest with you. I agree with y'all. They have butchered the Hulk. It's ridiculous. It doesn't make any sense. One of the most popular characters, and y'all are shafting him. About the arm thing, I feel you, Chris. However, I kind of like that his arm is still damaged because it just shows how
Like
powerful the
how
Infinity
yeah.
Stones are. Like this is not just some MacGuffin that you can just switch on and off. If you're gonna play with it, it's gonna have long consequences. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Because
And it
I don't
explains
want
why
I don't
Iron
want
Man's
any
dead.
huh?
And it helps explain why Iron Man's dead.
Yeah. Because I don't want anybody in the MCU just be like, okay, let's just get the Infinity Stones and do what we want. That'll be too easy. So, like you were saying, Elliot, about the blood transfusion thing, I think that's gonna have to do with him coming back as Banner. Maybe they've already done that, and they're gonna have to go back and explain it.
Yeah.
But what I want to see what happens is, I want to see, because he had to help out his cousin with the transfusion, that is going to trigger something in him with the gamma that's going to make him not be able to have control anymore.
Oh,
And
I would love that.
then he turns into the Hulk that we all want and love. Like,
Yeah.
you know, at the end of the Avengers battle, you know, they saved the day, they beat the Chitauri or whoever, and then he turns on the Avengers because he doesn't have control, kind of like the animated Ultimates cartoon that came out in 2005-ish or something. So I hope that happens. I just had to get that out. But
hey man,
yeah.
fingers crossed. I'm right there with you, Brandon, because they have been butchering the Hulk. I mean, he's just the butt of the joke. He's just the punchline in this case, and just whether it's I enjoyed him in Thor Ragnarok, it was fun, but I want that angering, menacing, crazy, can't control himself Hulk because it just makes it more entertaining. It's just like you don't know he's a wild card. He's a as Ross said, he's a nuclear bomb. So I would like to get that back with, but I won't be surprised.
You guys brought the monster.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they end up giving, which we'll see how it plays out. They're going to probably give She-Hulk more respect than which she deserves some, but I think they're going to give her like a lot of the Hulk stuff that we've probably been missing. She's going to get all of it, which we'll see. I think that's going to happen with Kate Bishop. She's going to be more of a badass than we ever got with Hawkeye, and I think a lot of these kind of secondary replacement characters will probably get, and it's the beauty of Marvel. They can kind of make their mistakes up like they did with Trevor in this film. They've, the Mandarin was a joke in Iron Man 3, but this is the real Mandarin. So we'll see how all that plays out. But
I want the actual line of dialogue of, the angrier he gets, the stronger he gets. Like, I want to hear it. So
I need to see it, man. I need to see it. And then there's another post-credit scene which talks more into the 10 rings, which going to you, Brandon. I know we talked about it, but just any more, are you more excited, less excited, just thinking about it in regards to how they alluded to the 10 rings will be coming back, and more thoughts of where we're going to see them coming back in the MCU?
Doesn't do anything for me. I mean, I'm not trying to hate on it or anything. It could be great. I'm just not excited about it. It could be the best thing in the world, but as of now, I'm just not excited about it.
What about you, Chris, in regards to, I guess, your thoughts on what you hope to see with Shang-Chi's sister now being the head of the organization, but any thoughts on who she may be connected to, or where we can see the 10 rings again in the future?
Yeah, I don't disagree with B at all, and I think I'm just trained to like know that the second post-credit scene is always just like the little throwaway one. Like in theory, not like you throw them away, but they're always like the first one is usually the bigger one.
The big one, yeah.
But the first thing I thought, I was like, damn, like we just did this all together. I thought we was like good. What are we doing now? And it gave me a little vibe of like Suicide Squad with Cena at the end, and I'm like, okay, so this is the thing. It's like he's back and he's doing wrong, and like now I'm supposed to think that she's doing wrong. Her swag was crazy, just sitting in the throne and just watching the team, train all that. But I didn't feel like no type of way, like, oh, I need closure. I was just like, we just did all that, and you bad again. That's crazy.
Yeah. Which go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Brandon.
No, I was gonna say, and now spoiler review. I know I kind of crapped on her. I was like, she really didn't do anything for me. At that time, I only saw the film once, but after the second time I saw it, I did like her character a bit more.
Yeah, see, she got some heat.
I want to give her some credit. I did like her a bit more the second time.
I got to see the second time because I do agree with you. I think she was a badass character. I think that the development of the character kind of was still kind of a short change because like her whole narrative of like having the resentment to her dad, and literally, I don't even think, and correct me if I'm wrong, did she even talk to her dad at all in the film? Did her and women ever have a conversation?
Yeah, not a one-on-one, I don't think.
Right. Good question.
But she definitely, it does. You usually see the three of them, especially like when he's trying to like explain to them what he thinks.
But I don't think he like directly talks to her because again, we know it. He didn't, because every time she saw her, she thought of the mom and all that stuff. I get all that, but I just found like she never had her closure at all with her dad whatsoever. Which I don't know. I think that was a little bit short change on her character, but
and she did forgive her brother kind of quick.
She did. She did. Well, I assume based on that post-credit scene, she'll be the one of the villains moving forward in the future of Shang-Chi. But, I mentioned in my little breakdown review or video from Shang-Chi that I think that, and we talked about it, Brandon, in regards to power broker connections, armored war connections with her, obviously. First film Iron Man was 10 rings, and it would make sense that Rhodey will have to kind of continue that storyline with finishing this organization or learning more about it. So I think we can expect more of her, and who knows what armor, Tony Stark's weapons are out there, and they might lead into the big bad, which I think might be a Doctor Doom type of inclusion maybe in a couple years. But we'll see. We'll see, because a lot of people are speculating that they think that these second post-credit scenes maybe moving forward, the MCU is going to set up a Disney Plus show. So maybe they'll get a Disney Plus show of the 10 rings and how they're infiltrating different organizations. So we'll see, man. But we all know Kevin Feige has a plan, and this might not even come into fruition until like 5 or 10 years from now. So we'll see what comes of all that.
That's crazy.
Quick question: How many Disney Plus shows do y'all think they can produce, like on average, eventually, like 5, 6, or more?
Man, that's a great question, Brandon. Per year?
Because we got 3.
We got a lot.
No, we got
so WandaVision.
This is our fourth one.
Right
if What If counts, this is the fourth.
Right. Yeah, and we might get 6 by the end of this year.
Man,
that's a lot.
That's crazy. To answer your question, Brandon, I think we're going to get to the point where every other month there's going to be something new for Marvel, and that's like TV show, movie for like the rest of the year, which I don't know if it gets me excited, but I don't know if that's overkill or, how people are if they're going to burn out.
But a lot of characters.
It could easily get to overkill though.
It is, man. Wow. And then, of course, we still got other stuff, DC and Star Wars, but I think we will get to the point where there will be something new for Marvel every single month.
As long as they spread it out, like have some in deep space, then some human characters, then some magic characters, then some martial arts characters, As long as
they haven't missed yet, so like they have no reason to slow down. They haven't had a dud.
And I hope too, based on Falcon and Winter Soldier, WandaVision, they, because those shows weren't perfect, they were great, but I hope they learned from some of the rushing some of the stuff, reshooting the last episodes, which I think WandaVision was affected by that. Falcon and Winter Soldier was affected by that. So I hope, Moon Knight, Hawkeye, all the future shows, Secret Invasion, all their shows, they're they don't get messed with their the storytelling. But one last thing before we wrap up with Shang-Chi, we got to talk about the success, man. I mean, this film was, I love Simu Liu on his Instagram talking about we flopped, huh? We gonna flop. Okay, we got something for you. Listen, man, this was far from a flop, ladies and gentlemen. In the 4-day domestic,
Draymond Green.
Yeah, he He definitely did, man. He's out there celebrating, which he should, man, and all the other things too. The stock photos that he was in. I mean, the man it's a pretty interesting story, a really good kind of story to look back on in 10 to 15 years to when he's a mega star as he's grown to be. But 94.4 domestically in the 4-day opening weekend. I believe it's up to 155 or so worldwide. And again, the narrative, Chris, and we talked about it for the last few months. What will it do at the box office? Will people go out to go see it? It's only exclusively on in theaters and not on Disney Plus, which we'll be talking about Mr. Bob Chapek in a second here, Brandon's favorite CEO. But Chris, man, the shut up to people, man. It's a cinema score. I think it's one of the most high rated superhero movies of all time, if I'm not mistaken, as far as IMDb and stuff like that. But it made bank, man. And just your thoughts on the success for this. What led to it? Black Widow, had to simultaneously on Disney Plus. It beat, I think, Fast 9. What do you think was the result of this film, kicking ass at the box office, man?
I mean, at the end of the day, bro, it's still Marvel. Like, this dude is brand new. It's a brand new character. Black Widow. We've been with Black Widow for so many years. And, it made sense. She made a shit ton of money. And she was on Disney Plus too. So, like, that's even crazier. But this is good. Like, this is it's a huge testament to the strength of Marvel. And, I think it'll hold for next week because people are seeing the good reviews. They're hearing about it more. Yeah, and I think it's gonna have a good second week. And last thing I will say is that we didn't even get to China, so that money is going to could be disgusting if they can get it out there. However they work that out. But I think it's a testament to Marvel, the strength of Marvel, and then just you backing it up. Like Drake could put a CD out, but it don't mean like I'm gonna just I'm gonna give it a good review because it's Drake. Like Drake got to come, like he's consistent. So it's like, oh, Drake got an album, yeah, I'm gonna play this. I'm gonna stream it, and then he's breaking Apple Music records. It's the same kind of thing. It's like you get used to a certain level of quality, and then you keep it up. It's something to be said for that.
I totally agree with you, man. Brandon, man, your thoughts on the success at the box office? The people were thinking it was going to be a flop, but it ended up being the complete opposite of that, man. What are some of your thoughts on the success from Shang-Chi?
Yeah, well, ha
Yeah.
to all the people that thought it was going to be a flop.
Yeah, man.
I know some people personally that wanted this movie to fail because for silly reasons, but I'm glad that I can
Yeah,
kind of
why?
rub it in their face. They, they don't like the fact that films are still going to theaters in the pandemic, and it's a whole conversation that I typically don't agree with. But I'm happy it makes money. It's making money. I think another reason just because it's different. We've heard whispers that Marvel is formulaic and that they suck at origin stories, which I don't necessarily agree with. But this is different. We never had an Asian-led superhero film before at this scale, at least.
Right.
And it's martial arts too, and there's really no big stars in this, so that's just how I feel about it. I am, it'll end up beating Black Widow for sure, probably within the next week or two. But I do want to know, like you said, Chris, what's up with China? I hope they work that out. I'm hoping this makes at least maybe 700 million worldwide, but that may be a stretch. What times we're in. I'm just hoping. But at the same time, I think it's opening most of its territories worldwide. So I'm kind of trying to figure out why we don't have numbers for the rest of the international just yet. It's only 56 million that is being reported right now. So
Yeah.
I'm just kind of eager to see what that's about too. But I'm hopeful.
Yeah, man. I'm hoping that it has because I don't think there's anything big coming out this weekend. I think Chris alluded to it earlier in regards to the drop off. I don't think it's going to be historically as bad as Black Widow was, which was historically the worst second week drop off in history. But kind of to that point, I mean, there's some people in the chat that actually brings up Black Widow, and we'll get into the Scarlett Johansson here in a bit. But Chris, man, your thoughts on Miss Black Widow and just kind of I guess looking at it now, 4 or 5 months later down the road, pandemic or not, was Black Widow, was it going to be successful, do you think, man? Do you think it had a chance to be that first big film, out of phase 4, as we might allude to, or looking at it now, did it really have an uphill battle?
It had a potential to be the first, like, a big pandemic movie. I don't think it had a position to shake up the MCU because we know where it stood. Like, we know that this is just like all right, we owe y'all this. Here's this.
Yeah.
It's as if, like I said, it's like if Drake released a mixtape before this CLB, we'd be like, we know CLB is coming, but we'll take this because you've been working on this for however long. We'll take this new music. For Scarlett, it sucks to see Shang do this because she's gonna say, oh, okay, wait, we beat them in the box office and we had Disney Plus. So then basically my argument is kind of null because they're doing this. They, like, if Shang did 300 million or whatever, then she can have it. Then she can say something. But so for her, it's like a little egg in the face. But I mean, hopefully they can work that out. We don't have to deal with that nonsense for much longer. I want everybody to get along. But yeah, it's a much better movie than Black Widow. But we knew that already. Like, Black Widow just is a victim of its own timing and release. But I enjoyed the movie. But it's I understand why people are not so hype about it.
Brandon, man, same question for you, man, in regards to just kind of looking at it now, a couple months, couple weeks, down the road from Black Widow, and looking at how Shang-Chi, I mean, does Scarlett have a point that they should have just went exclusively to theaters as we see Shang-Chi was successful at that? Or was it always just kind of damned just due to the fact of where, as some people mentioned, where it falls in the timeline? It's kind of a throwback story, doesn't really move the MCU forward. Your thoughts on this, kind of comparing the Black Widow versus the Shang-Chi in the box office?
I'm not as hard on Black Widow as everybody else. I think I'm pretty much the only person that doesn't have too much negative things to say about it. I was just disappointed as far as the Taskmaster. Huh?
Yeah, that's me too. I've been rocking with Black Widow hard. That movie touched me more than I thought it would.
I'm the
opposite. The more I think about the film, the less I like it.
I enjoyed it. My only criticism would be Taskmaster, but I had no expectations for that character. Mm-hmm. Like, I forgot he was in the movie until I was watching the movie. So I was like, oh, this is kind of a bonus. But I definitely think it was on the road to success. Like, I mean, people were salivating for any movie to come out, let alone a Marvel movie, So And I think that's been proven even with the opening weekend when it made 80 million. But our boy Mr. Chapek, who we're going to talk about in a second, is a moron and ruined it. I mean, that was just stupid. So it's all his fault. It's nobody else's fault but his. He is killing this franchise literally in months. This is nuts. Yeah, it definitely had a chance to succeed. I don't even think it had a. I don't think it could have made $1 billion right now. In pre-pandemic times, I think it's a chance. I think, but they left at least 350 million worldwide on the floor because of this dumbass or stupid release strategy.
Yeah, no, I agree, man. We'll to that point. I mean, we'll talk about Bob Chapek, but let's talk about another company that's just like I don't want to say riding the coattail. I think it's smart business decision, but it's still just kind of funny because it's just like I don't know what to think of this film. Venom. So recently, it was the whole couple weeks ago, they alluded to Venom maybe being delayed a couple weeks, maybe being pushed back to next year, but then they came out and Sony debunked that. And obviously now moving forward, we know that this film will be coming out on October 1st, which I think is actually kind of smart just due to the fact that when it was slated to come out October 15th, Halloween, and it was going against something else too, a couple other films that it was going to go toe to toe against. And I don't think Venom would have won that fight, if I'm being honest. But just starting with you, Brandon, your thoughts on business decision as far as this film moving up, but also the success of Shang-Chi in the box office. Does it allow us to breathe easy for Eternals being only in theaters, for other films coming out later this year, exclusively Spider-Man No Way Home, exclusively in theaters? Or is it just kind of maybe a lucky thing that Shang-Chi did so well?
I'm going to answer the second part first. I think definitely Shang-Chi will help with Eternals and Spider-Man or any other movies go straight to theaters alone, because it was proven, by the opening that it can work. And then you have to look at the fact that pretty much the whole cast in Eternals are big name characters that people recognize. So that's going to entice people to go out even more. So hopefully that decision isn't botched as well. I'm sorry, man. What was the first question again?
The narrative right now is that Shang-Chi has saved movies for the rest of this year in regards to theatrical releases. Do you think that's the case?
Definitely.
How did it even save movies when Black Widow did more?
I think from what I've seen, some of the articles, a lot of people, because I think we talked about it last week or 2 weeks ago, that there was word that even Kevin Feige, he was on the Shang-Chi red carpet, and someone specifically asked him, what's the strategy for Eternals? Is it going to be streaming and theaters at the same time? And he kind of gave we'll see. I hope that it's in theaters, but we'll see how it plays out. But now the narrative, since it was so successful, that it looks like it's exclusively going to be in theaters, but that conversation was kind of tossed up for a little bit.
Can I retract my statement, please?
Yes, sir.
I'm actually incorrect. We don't know. I'm gonna speak for myself. I don't know anything yet. We have to see second weekend. Yeah, because Black Widow did well, then it dropped 70%.
Huge, yeah.
So it'll be really telling what the second weekend will do, because it's not going to go to streaming. People are not going to be able to pirate it,
right?
So hopefully it drops no more than 50%. I'm hoping maybe 40 something. So then that will be able to tell at that time if it saved movies for theatrical exclusively only or whatever.
Yeah. And to going back to Chris in regards to the reactionary, Sony just like waiting behind the corners, and just waiting to see what Shang-Chi did. And it's like, okay, yep, we're going to not only have Venom come out 2 weeks early, but, we're going to obviously get the marketing started. So do you think, to the same question for Brandon, Shang-Chi, did it save not the theatrical, obviously movie theater going experience, but in regards to the rest of this year, Venom, Eternals, Spider-Man exclusively only being in theaters versus the conversation being a little bit different a couple weeks ago?
I think if I'm talking about Eternals and Spider-Man, I would be very confident based on Shang-Chi's performance to let these people go in theaters no matter what. Know me, I'm a very big optimist as far as the pandemic goes. To me, in theory, living in New York, the later we are in time, the more people are going to have vaccines, the more the less we should see this. In theory, I had to show my vaccine card, my damn ID to get into an AMC just to go see this movie. I know it's not the same for everywhere I go, but if we're in November still fighting with this, then we got bigger problems than movies. But I really think that if I'm Disney or whatever, I should feel confident to put these movies out. Eternals is new characters. Shang-Chi was new characters. You can't have a closer kind of example. And then Spider-Man, everyone's just going to go crazy for
Good
holiday
point.
season. Hopefully, like I said, everybody is good there. But Venom is a different. I don't think like Venom shouldn't even be in the conversation. Like Venom,
Yeah.
we just don't care. Like we will go watch this and we will
Yeah.
say this movie was fine. We
Mediocre
like
at
Venom
best.
1.
Yeah.
We as much as you like, okay, yeah, but it's like you can't make these movies without Spider-Man, and it's just weird. And it's I just and someone put in the chat the PG-13. I don't know if that's so crazy, but like
Yeah.
I just don't care. I mean, I've watched Venom, of course, and I was like,
Yeah.
okay, this movie's fine, but I don't think I've watched it since then.
I've literally only seen it one time.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
of course we do want to see Carnage, but like not fucking Woody Harrelson. Like I just don't get it. I hope that maybe I'll be wrong and it's just so fucking epic, but like I don't think people are gonna be racing. Like I think that Suicide Squad will be better than this movie.
And I'm gonna toss it, just kind of put a spin on it, Brandon. Just obviously we're looking a couple weeks ahead, but box office wise, compared to Shang-Chi, do you think Venom 94 million was the 4-day, obviously had the weekend, but do you think Venom will have a just as successful weekend than Shang-Chi, or are we looking at some lower numbers? Because I mean, the first Venom, as we all know, almost made $900 million, but that was obviously 3 years ago.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It just depends on how
tough,
good.
man.
It just depends on how good or bad the movie is.
Yeah,
like if it's good, yeah. If it sucks, then no. I mean, that's all I got. I don't mean to hate on the movie.
It would have went crazier,
huh?
Like if in the pandemic right now where we are, if it was Venom 1, I think it would have went crazy because we don't know. Like we're like, okay, I'd love to see this movie. This one, I don't know. Yeah. Amanda's not here to defend it, so
I know Amanda. She's probably watching like,
we can speak freely.
The first one made 80 million in the opening weekend. Yeah, we'll have to see, man. I don't want to hate on the movie, but I'm not like rooting for it either.
Yeah,
I want it to be but I'm not gonna be surprised if it's not.
That's fair.
We'll see, man. Andy Serkis, as you mentioned, Carnage is in the mix. There's some hardcore Venom fans out there, as we know from the box office 3 years ago. There's some crazy Carnage fans out there. So I mean, we'll see. No Spider-Man, at least that we think of. Who knows what a post-credit scene might have? You never know. You never know. But yeah, I'm really curious to see what Venom does on October 1st. I mean, we're literally talking about the film coming out in less than about 3 weeks or so. So we'll see what comes of it.
I'll probably be getting them screeners coming pretty soon, the way that they did Shang-Chi. So
I'm nervous.
We'll see, man. We'll see. Because that first one, like I said, I've only seen it the one time, and it was okay. But it's like literally, I'm a big comic book fan. I normally watch these movies like multiple times. I just don't have the urge to go back to see what that film's all about. But hey, let us know in the chat, guys. We got the Venom fans in here. I know Amanda's, maybe watching this on the replay. I mean, she can't defend her film, but let us know what you all think about the box office success with Shang-Chi, what it could mean for the rest of this year, and of course, if you all are excited about Venom coming in a couple weeks. But transitioning over to some good news from Black Panther, because last few months with the film, we don't know who's the villain, how they're going to handle Chadwick Boseman and all the different stuff. But I'm excited about this news because I'm a big score guy. I love a good score, and Letwood's score, all his scores, whether it's Tenet, obviously Black Panther, and all the other Creed, he is a phenomenal composer. And some good news, ladies and gentlemen, he is back to compose Black Panther 2. He's coming up with ideas now. I guess I read the article. He's going to be in the lab cooking it up to give us some fire score there. So not a big news topic, but something I'm excited for. Tossing to you, Chris, in regards to just excitement level for Mr. Letwood coming back and bringing up that one of the best scores in the MCU, by the way. Whenever I hear the Black Panther, like that, it's just fire. I love it. But your thoughts on Mr. Letwood coming back, Chris?
Yo, keep it a stack, bro. Like in a movie, I don't care about the score. Like I never think about it.
I love scores.
One movie that I could always talk about the score is Black Panther. So if this is the dude, this is the guy. There's only a couple because I never think of it if I'm doing a review. You'll never hear me talk about the score really.
Mm-hmm.
But Black Panther nailed it. Like I think of things like like the Dark Knight series and these kind of things like that.
Yeah.
But as far as MCU, I never really think about it. But that thing is so iconic, and then when you hear the callbacks to it, you're just like exactly it. It takes you back to that event, that moment in time. So that's dope that he's back.
And some people might be seeing this for the first time. Ledwood is a white man, ladies and gentlemen. This white man put the fire to Black Panther in that
It's like
score.
when they found out John B was white. They was like, huh? Crazy.
Exactly, man. But I mean, this guy has he has really good connections with a lot of, like, I think he was like the roommates with Childish Gambino or Donald Glover for a while. He has a lot of interesting ties to people in the industry. But tossing it to you,
he's invited to the cookout. Basically, is what
he is. He's yeah, definitely. But Brandon, man, your take on Mr. Ledwood coming back, and as far as the score and some good news, because again, it's just been such a toss up with this film, man, in regards to what's the story and all that. But I think this is a win, him coming back.
Yes, this is perfect. This is 100% on board. I mean, I couldn't be happier. So they can just keep giving us good news like this.
Yeah,
just keep doing that.
I agree, man. And let us know, everyone in the chat, if you guys are excited for Mr. Ledwood's score coming back into the mix, and maybe getting some, some new stuff and remixing some things. And for Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, which I assume once we get that Disney by the end of the year, the stock thing that they do every single year, I think they'll give us at least a synopsis of what we can expect to see from Black Panther coming out next year, man. That film is something to talk about. I'm really excited to see what they do with it. But this is the topic I know Brandon's excited for. We talked about it many times in regards to Bob Chapek, and I know when Brandon talked about it on his channel a couple of times, what's the end game in regards to not only the Scarlett Johansson resolve, but what's the effects on moving forward? Talent coming to Disney, Marvel, are they going to be skeptical about their contract? Read into the details. And word around town, this hasn't been confirmed, but there's a rumor going around right now that the Russo brothers, as you all know, who has been kind of the MVPs of Marvel, whether it's their direction of Winter Soldier, Civil War, Infinity War, and Endgame, the most successful film of all time. Word around town is they're not too happy with how things shook up with Scarlett Johansson and how the whole lawsuit is playing out. And they might not come back for a film that has been speculated that they want to work on, which is Secret Wars. So Brandon, man, tossing it to you first in regards to, again, this is all rumors right now, but if it is to be true that the Russo brothers are a little bit hesitant about coming back to Marvel due to the incident with Scarlett Johansson, how does that make you feel about Mr. Bob Chapek, if this is true?
Yeah, if it is true, Mara Sharice in the chat pretty much spoke exactly what I'm thinking with her comment, which I think is hilarious. But this is awful, man. I am praying to the lawyer gods, the movie gods, the comic book gods, that the board right now is having conversations on ways that they can get Bob Chapek the hell out of there, man, because get him out of there, bring Iger back, give him the best rainbow perfect package, platinum, gold that you possibly can. Just please set this back. Like, how do you piss off the two biggest directors in Hollywood history that, with Infinity War and Endgame, it just doesn't, doesn't make sense. Bob Chapek needs to leave. He doesn't know what he's doing. I don't even think it's an ego thing. I just don't think he just knows what he's doing as far as dealing with people in relationships. Because I mean, like, it's not hard. I mean, we was in the lead in the 4x1, and Iger handed him the baton, and he didn't drop it. He just threw it down. I'm like, no, I want to mess it up because whatever.
Yeah.
And I don't get it, man. I don't know. I'm lost for words, to be honest. I'm sorry.
It's a mess, man. I think when there's smoke, there's fire, man. I don't think, again, this is a rumor right now. This is, just around the grapevine that the Russo brothers are a little bit hesitant to get back in bed with Marvel just due to the fact that, and it makes sense too. I think all these people are connected. When you make films for 10 plus years with people, you're going to become family members with them. So I think, especially the Russo brothers, to me, when, they put their touch on Black Widow in making her implement and so important in Winter Soldier in Civil War, I mean, they're probably pissed as much as she is in regards to how things were handled. So tossing it to you, Brandon, your thoughts on if this is true, how much of a loss is this for Marvel, not being able to have these two, great directors come back to do, which the rumor is if they come back to Marvel, they want to do Secret Wars, which is one of their favorite comics. I think they said it is their favorite comic book story, and they would love to tackle that story. How big of a loss is that for Marvel? And if this is true?
For me, right?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Yeah. I really don't know a lot about the background story or the history of Bob, but as a Knicks fan, I can understand bad
Oh yeah, this is
ownership.
James Dolan right here. Yeah,
So, and it's
yeah,
giving
man.
me PTSD of every day waking up as a Knicks fan, and it's so
Yeah,
sad. And the irony is that obviously the Knicks are not good. I mean, now we're okay. Yeah, that's fine. We're better than the Heat, but it's like they already have such a good thing going,
yeah,
and in Marvel, and he's willing to ruin this for nonsense. And we talked about that with the Black Widow thing, and as like, I really don't have I'm not picking a side on Scarlet or whatever, but I'm just like, I would like to think that your talent has changed your life and made you into the biggest producing studio in history. You need to take care of them, make them happy, whatever they need, unless it's
yeah.
outrageous and being unreasonable. But I can't imagine these people are being unreasonable. And if the Russo brothers, like B said, brought you the biggest movies in movie history, take care of these people. Like, and it's like, and because of your behavior that they don't want to work with you, that's gonna trickle into the next director and the next director, and then it's like
Yeah.
then you lose, and then people are gonna say we need a 30 for 30 because no one knows how Marvel messed this all up. We have to
Bro,
figure this out.
that's gonna happen, man.
Yeah, and it's gonna be sad, and it's gonna be people like us, like not showering, like man, remember Shang-Chi, and then DC's
Oh
gonna rise
man.
to the top, and then the world will end. No,
You said it, man. Like,
hyperbole, but yeah, you get it.
Listen, man, when that headline comes out and we see Kevin Feige has left Marvel to go to DC Comics, that's when
Bro,
the world will go berserk. Because I mean, we've already seen James Gunn made that crossover. Dave Bautista's kind of making that crossover. DC's picking some Marvel talent out there, and I don't know if Kevin Feige has had talks. I mean, listen, don't get me wrong, I love DC. They're not as good in regards to handling their talent as much so as Disney, but at least they're on the up and up. But it looks like, as Brandon says with Bob Chapek, man, I don't know, man. This is definitely James Dolan all over it in regards to just the decisions being made. And this is my camp now. I'm the captain of the ship now. Forget what Iger did before me. I'm going to bring a new regime to this. So
People
I don't know, man.
Power hungry just confuse me. Like if it's me and I know I got a good thing, right? Like
Yeah.
Just whoever's the best at you do this, you do that.
Yeah.
Like I don't need to, like I don't want to be the one that messes this all up. Like I mean, people that are that power hungry, like it just annoys me. I just don't understand. Like if they said, Chris Tate, tomorrow you're the president. All right, cool. Who's the smartest climate change person? All right, get her. Who's good with COVID? All right, get this guy here. I'm like, I'm not messing it up. Like I'm not even the one that's messing it up. And then Bob doesn't seem to care. So it's like people just think different. That's crazy. I just want people.
It's like Ike Perlmutter Part 2. I mean, phase one was good, and then Ike Perlmutter did his meddling, and phase 2 was not as good. It was a step down, and then Kevin Feige started going straight to Alan Horn and Iger, and that's why phase 3 was better. And also, Ellen, I hope we don't get it, but if we do get that headline that Kevin Feige quit or walks away, do y'all think, y'all let me know, and in the chat too, do y'all think that there will be a massive boycott of Disney Plus cancellations, like canceling subscriptions? I'm down for it. I will. If I swear to God,
we're in the industry, so we can't no matter what.
Elliot, I will be going live the next second with sharing my screens. Like I am canceling this shit until you fix it. Everybody join me. Like, come on, all over again. Yeah. I'm like, we got to come together like the Avengers at the end of Endgame to cancel our subscriptions. But do y'all think that people are mass cancel their Disney Plus subscription? No,
because we're weak. Like again, I bring it back to the Knicks fans. Like we keep going. Like I pay every year to go. Like they have, like Disney would have to say like some like racist shit or like some like anti-gay shit. Yeah. And then niggas will think about canceling it, and then you'll just.
That's a good question, man. I mean, listen, the reality of the situation is, and Kevin Feige, he's been in the industry for over 20 plus years with his days at Fox and working on Sony projects. The day will come that he will have to step down. I don't know when that is. I hope it's not in the next, 5 to 7 years, but it's going to come down to that one of these days. But to your point, I hope it's not like because of Bob Chapek decisions, talent not happy with the paychecks and how they've been handled and all that stuff. I hope it doesn't come down to that, but it will come a point when Kevin Feige is like, hey, see you guys later. I appreciate it. I had a great time and I'm just going to retire and go off in the sunset or come to DC and fix everything. But we'll see what comes of that. We'll see. I don't know, guys. Let us know in the chat if that day comes. Will you cancel, like immediately cancel your Disney Plus? Because
Brandon got some cosigns in the chat. Some people saying they
it's
wish
something.
you
Yeah,
to.
they said they would cancel that in a heartbeat. Cut it, cancel it,
Yeah.
He's down.
a refund.
Yeah. Revolt.
Hey man, that would be wild if that
Brandon's gonna lead the charge to cancel Disney Plus
Yeah.
and still drop Disney reviews, and no one's gonna know how he's reviewing them. Like, wait a minute,
I thought
how
you
you
canceled
reviewing
this.
these?
See what
Yeah.
happened was
I was at my homeboy's house.
right. I
He
was
was it
watching
was just
there.
on. I just
Exactly.
went home and reviewed it real quick. So, here we go.
Exactly, man. We'll see, man. I hope that Kevin Feige has another 20 years in him, but
Man, at least.
we'll see, man. And we'll see what happens with Bob Chapek. Maybe he's just in his head. Maybe he's possessed by Mephisto and money hungry. Someone's going to sit him down. You know, Kevin Feige, Bob Iger, Scarlett's going to be in the room. They're going to trade up Goodfellas them and just be like, listen, you need to get it together.
Seriously,
you know, we let you have your fun for a year, but now you need to get it together. So we'll see with all that. But I know one thing that's looking good with Kevin Feige in the mix and this whole crew, and that is What If. I don't know how to describe this show so far other than just being awesome. These last 3 episodes, from the murder mystery of the Avengers to last week's Doctor Strange into the multiverse of his head, and just all the grief that we went through last week, and then follow that up. I'm a horror fan, as I know. I think Chris, you're a little bit scared of the horror, but I think you like zombie films, and I know Brandon likes some zombie stuff. But giving me zombies and seeing this on the screen was just incredible to me. Chris, man, starting off with you. I know you say you just watched it a couple times today, and here we are discussing it, man. This your initial thoughts of seeing Marvel, and we're going to talk about how this episode was one of the darkest episodes of What If, of heads chops, bodies being chopped. Brandon, man, what's your take on this 5th episode of What If?
I absolutely loved it. I loved it. I didn't know what to expect. And what's funny is I haven't been even really recapping What If that much this this Disney Plus show. And I forgot that this was coming out until I woke up early this morning. I woke up at 5 and I was just sitting there. I was like, oh, wait a minute, a What If episode came out, you know? And so that just goes to show like what my expectations were. But when I hit play, I was into it, man. And I've always heard about Marvel Zombies for the longest, but I've never read anything about it or seen any incarnations or illustrations of it. But this was perfect. You know, I've heard people talk it up for years, and for this to be my first experience with Marvel Zombies, I absolutely loved it. One reason because so many characters were involved. Got some cameos popping up that I don't know if you want me to spoil right now. That just came out of nowhere, and I was like, oh, there's that character. I think that happened at least twice. You know, now the episode wasn't perfect. I can nitpick a little scene or two here if I wanted to, but I had no idea where it was going to head and how it was going to end. And you know, we got some Hulk in it for a brief moment. That was cool. But this was you said the last 3. I really wasn't feeling episode 3.
Really? The murder mystery?
That was my least favorite of all 5. You know, I saw it initially, and then the second time I tried to watch it, I didn't even finish it. I was like, yeah, I'm not into this, and I turned it off. But the episodes 4 and this one were pretty fire. But yeah, this was a great episode. I loved it.
Gotcha. And I paused the framing of the slideshow for a little bit because I know this is Chris. If you don't know Brandon, Chris is a huge Falcon fan. Sam Wilson is his hero. He wants to be in when he grows up. I know this is exciting, man. Chris, man, we got your boy Falcon on the screen. But your thoughts?
You know he's gonna believe you, right?
Listen, inside joke, Brandon. He does not like Sam Wilson.
Yeah,
not a fan of Falcon.
Yeah. I remember.
But Chris, man, your thoughts on this episode being zombified?
Yeah. I don't really do the horror stuff, but I do like zombies. I was a big Walking Dead fan. I never got to finish it. I got lost in the middle of it. I think a lot of people got lost.
Negan. Yeah.
Negan. So when they killed my dog, I had to get out of there. What's my dog's name?
Oh, Glenn.
Yeah.
Maggie, I'll find you.
Yeah.
I'll never forget that. I
left. That's one of the most iconic moments in TV history, I think. But
no doubt. Yes.
What?
Yes. Glenn's death.
Crazy.
The baseball.
That thing shook up for a
Dude.
show like Walking Dead. Like that shook the world up, or my world.
I agree.
So I was cool with zombies. I really like this episode. I know I was the odd man out last week. I didn't love the Doctor Strange episode. But this episode I was all the way into, and what I love the most about this episode, the zombie aspect was cool. I love the graphics and the gore of it, but the writing was just on point for me. I was like, they're hitting on every line, and every character is like, is just nailing it. Like, it was great. I'm excited to see, like where we go from here, and I really hope that we get like a continuation of this episode, because I think this is the biggest one so far that we would need a part two. The other ones, maybe we'll get later, but like this one we need to, because like Hulk just started fighting Wanda and they just cut off the scene. So we need more of it, but I thought the episode was great. And I was like, at first I was like, how are they like explaining this? What's happening here? Why are they zombies? But of course, I got to trust in Marvel we trust. And then here we are. I was like, this is dope. And if Michael's watching the chat or watching the replay, they did the Lord's work and made fun of New Jersey. How can I get much more than that?
They did with a happy sale. And
nobody got to take my word for it.
We're going to Jersey. Now, it was, I think you guys allude to it, especially Chris, you just mentioned the writing. I thought the writing was great, but also too, the callbacks. I'm wearing this shirt for a reason. Infinity War is personally my favorite MCU film, and knowing that we had that storyline being implemented in this, and seeing all, like Brandon said, the inclusions of surprise characters I didn't think that we were seeing, what if, like Scott, like Kurt, his friends from that film, and all that stuff. It was just a lot of great moments there. And then the ice on the cake for me, and we'll get to that a little bit later, but I didn't expect T'Challa to be in this episode. And that line that we'll get to hits on another level, obviously, with how things kind of played out. But I thought that the comedy was there. I'm a big horror fan, and I can't stress enough how violent this episode was. Like, we literally see first 2 minutes, Wong's head. We're just gonna get into the recap here. I mean, Wong's head, as we'll get to that. We'll get to that. But we open the episode with our boy Hulk in Hulk form, as we know in the Avengers, landing in New York. It's like literally a shot for shot of him coming to the Sanctum, and obviously playing out the same way there. There's no Wong. There's no Doctor Strange waiting to find out what he's there for, which is obviously to warn them that Thanos is coming. We see him make his way to the streets, which he comes into Ebony Maw and the Black Order, and has that whole thing shake out. And just starting with you, Brandon, man, this action set piece to open up this episode, I repeat, we saw two heads come off in the first 2 minutes, with Wong in the portal, and then my man Tony Stark by Hulk chopping his head off. I mean, this was pretty violent, and I was all in for it. But what about you, Brandon, in this opening sequence?
Yeah, I love the pacing. That's one of the first things I noticed about the episode, just how fast things are moving. I mean, you may be like, okay, Brandon, that's common sense. It's only 30 minutes, but they could still mess it up, but they didn't here. It's just nice to see that this is familiar. We all knew what this was from, but it's like slightly different early on. Like, Doctor Strange and Wong are supposed to be there, but they're not. So it's like, what the hell is going on? The last thing Bruce thought it was going to be was zombies, and so I just like that spin and the pacing. That's just what I was thinking of when I was seeing all this for the first time.
Agreed, man. Same with you, Chris, in regards to this opening sequence of seeing, obviously we're in the Walking Dead universe where the zombies are here, but we see Hulk coming across, or to say Bruce Banner coming across these the children of Thanos, and seeing Wong's head get popped off, seeing Iron Man's head get taken off, and just the whole thing playing out within this first opening sequence.
Yeah, and here's my small nitpick of the whole episode, because I don't think I have many more nitpicks, but I didn't like in the beginning when he falls into the thing and then he says Thanos is coming, but there's no one there, because it's funny. It's not funny, but it's iconic in the actual movie, because they're looking at him like, nigga, what are you doing here? Yeah. So I was like, you're literally talking to no one. So I was like, you don't need to. He wouldn't have said that. So, and my last nitpick is that as much as I love the animation on this TV show, I don't think they did Hulk that good, or Banner. Like, he was like, everybody else was looking crazy. Like, Spider-Man was looking fire. Like, everybody was looking good. Bucky looked crazy. But I'm like, something about the Hulk. I was like, damn, it's not like epic enough. But then when he goes outside, that's when then it's like, I don't think I have no more nitpicks from that. Like, one of my favorite scenes of that moment, dies at the hands of Thanos, like that whole thing, and then you find out that there's zombie. He's one of my poets. Yeah. So I was like, now we get into it crazy. But yeah, it was dope opening.
Yeah, no, I agree. Again, I'm a big fan of Infinity War and just kind of getting back into that moment of when obviously how things played out in the movie, but obviously a remix in the show and just seeing these zombies as Wong's eating off the hand. And again, just seeing Hope come into the mix, and Spider-Man was pretty cool in this episode. And this to me was like a
Yes.
cool way of kind of bringing Spider-Man to the mix, that he's still a kid and still smiling, still hopeful. And we'll talk about, which I think we'll get to the moment, but I think this is the first time MCU has like said Uncle Ben in the MCU. I don't think we've
Yeah.
heard of. I think they alluded to Uncle Ben, and it was the scene where he went so far from home in the
Suitcase.
suitcase. But I don't think they've said Uncle Ben until
No.
obviously this episode. So I think we got some first timers here in regards to this episode here. But as we kind of get the reasoning of how this zombie apocalypse all takes place after Hope and Spider-Man save our boy Bruce Banner, we learn that obviously the events play out from Ant-Man and the Wasp, as we learned that Hank Pym, as he did in this film, was there to save Janet. Unfortunately, Janet's been there a little bit too long in regards to her mind has been corrupted by a virus. Hence, that's where the virus comes from. And this is zombie apocalypse. As we see and by the way, for some reason, the it's a delay on the pictures here, so I might just have to freestyle it without the pictures. But nonetheless, we see that there is a zombie apocalypse within 24 hours. The Pacific Northwest has been taken over, and this is where I think, and Chris, your thoughts. This is where I'm thinking, oh, the Avengers comes in, they're gonna save the day, but nope. Hank Pym bites my man Cap, and now the Avengers are part of this zombie apocalypse. So, just again, in the writing department, the cool way that they introduced the zombie apocalypse started because of Ant-Man, which is the smallest character in the MCU, has the biggest implications of this universe of how things kind of shaked out. But your thoughts on how they explain how this virus came about?
It's crazy. No one would have ever thought before Ant-Man was released in theaters that this dude would be causing all sorts of trouble like this. You go back to what's the other thing that like Ant-Man saved Endgame, like essentially.
Him and that rat.
And he had another what if then fucking Ant-Man's dad Hank is behind the Avengers
murdering
mystery.
all the Avengers.
Like, this is crazy.
I'm just not to cut you off. They're really setting up Ant-Man 3 to be something we should be looking forward to in regards to now seeing these episodes, and of course Quantumania with Mr. Kane. But yeah, man, Ant-Man ain't no one to play with. I guess we should look out for it.
Amanda is hype.
That's her favorite trilogy.
Yeah. I thought it's very interesting. That what do they call it? The quantum? What do they call it?
The quantum realm.
No, the quantum zombie or something like that, or like in this. Episode.
I can't remember the actual
term. Virus or something.
Quantum virus, something like that.
Yep.
Whatever shit was worse than COVID, but it was. I was like, okay, I'm gonna just suspension of belief. Okay, this is what's happening. This is how they got this way.
Yeah.
We have to think it's different than normal zombie movies and TV shows, because normally they just become idiots and they're just kind of empty shells looking just to eat.
Smart.
But yeah, they're smart. They have their same instincts to like use their powers and things like that and fly around. So it's unique.
I agree, man. Brandon, man, your thoughts on again the MCU? I don't know, man. They're setting up to be when we see Ant-Man again in them. I'm scared of Ant-Man. I'm scared of the tech. I've always knew how powerful Ant-Man and the technology can be, but in episode, which I know you wasn't a fan of episode 3, but it just goes to show you, if Hank or Scott went dark, or Hope goes dark, or Janet goes dark, the capabilities of having an ant suit as he explodes the Hulk, as he kills the Avengers, as we see what the quantum realm can mean in regards to not only in-game and the time travel, but also viruses being in there. I don't know, man. Ant-Man and Quantumania with Kang and other thing, we might be in for a treat with that film. But just your thoughts on that, and also your thoughts on the sequences that we get here.
Yeah, you nailed you hit the nail on the head, and I also agree with you, Chris, as far as like this character was so unexpected to have such a huge impact on the MCU, What If, Disney Plus, all that good stuff. I've always loved Ant-Man. I've always thought he was a badass character. When I was in college, me and my buddy would go back and forth joking because he hated on Ant-Man all the time, talking about how weak he was. I'm like, he's so badass, and I mean that's how I felt. And so I was really impressed. It's also just how resourceful the technology is. I mean, you always have a weapon on you no matter where you go because there's bugs everywhere. And Hope Van Dyne at the very beginning, she saved Bruce because she had bugs, roaches, and flies flying in, eating the zombies, And so I was just like, that's pretty cool. However, my criticism, this is like the first one I had for this episode, is I just kind of thought that they could have contained the virus much easier. Like, they kind of just brushed over how easily it spread. you know, and when you are the Avengers, you know, you would think that you have the technology to, I don't know, hit a
Contain
button
that,
and
yeah.
some doors are locked. So that kind of rubbed me the wrong way. But other than that, you know, Ant-Man is dope, and I can't see. I don't even think we've scratched the surface yet as far as
Yeah.
you know what you know that technology or franchise can and can't do.
I agree. And I think, again, as I mentioned, with She-Hulk getting more respect than the Hulk and maybe Hawkeye getting outplayed by Kate Bishop, I think that Scott Lang's daughter, Cassie Lang, who's going to be playing Stature, I think she's going to probably get more of a come up than what we got in the Ant-Man universe. I think they're righting their wrongs as they've done with these episodes, showing you how powerful the the Pinnacles can be, or the Hank Pym's experiments can be. So I think that they're really kind of righting their wrongs, to say the least. But I will say, in regards to what Brandon said, in regards to the how things played out, you would think that once they could have contained it, in regards to at least Hope coming in and like shutting down the doors, and like, unfortunately, yeah, her mom and her dad, and she thought that Scott died. But yeah, I guess that goes into the fault of only being 30 minutes, how like things kind of spread so quickly. But I totally agree with you there. But I mean, I do know once they got the Avengers on their squad, there was no going back after that. Because once you get, you know, obviously the crew that they end up turning into zombies is going to be pretty hard to go back and stop them. But nonetheless, again, I'm really excited to see us explore more of the quantum realm. And if we'll ever, I guess this is a quick question. Chris, would you think after this episode that there's ever a possibility of live action zombies in the MCU, with this maybe storyline being something to implement into a movie or even a show later down the road? Just curious on your thoughts on that.
No,
and
not in the near future, and especially not with their main guys or their main girls. And it's so much easier to do on an animated show. So I think they're using this show to be like, whenever you're able to do this, let's draw it.
Yeah.
So I think that's where they'd be. But you know, stranger things have happened.
Would you want to see something like that, Brandon? A live action zombie? Because we got a little hint of it in Far From Home when Tony Stark came out of the grave and was a zombie, but that was like the extent of it. But do you think after this episode that we can ever see a live action of not this exact story playing out, but something in the realms of like there's an outbreak and a little bit of something in a movie with the zombies?
I seriously doubt it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind seeing it, but do I want to see it? No. Okay. And the only reason I say no is just because there's so many other stories that I want to see first.
True.
But if money, resources, and time wasn't a thing, and they can just throw these things out like nothing, then sure, done right. But you know, the films would need to be averaging like $2 billion each before we would get a zombie movie or a show or something. That's a long stretch to me.
You know what? I'm going to sell you guys on this one right quick. So
let's get it.
Listen. So we know Disney Plus, obviously we got the movies and shows coming out and stuff like that. But I don't know if you guys remember, but James Gunn has a holiday special, a Christmas holiday special that's going to be Guardians of the Galaxy type of themed. I don't know, maybe in a couple years we get like a Halloween themed live action zombie episode, maybe that they can maybe plan to tie into the mix, since we are playing with holidays with James Gunn, and maybe we'll get a Thanksgiving special episode of Disney Plus. I wouldn't be mad at Disney if we get a Halloween zombie centric horror thrilled episode. I don't know. Are you guys interested in that, or don't want it?
If they let you write it, then I'll watch it.
Yeah, you know, I'm not excited about it, but you know, I'll press play if it's in front of me.
Okay. And guess what? Then they're gonna bring back Scott Derrickson. They're gonna right his wrongs for firing him from Doctor Strange 2. And be like, you know what, Scott? How about you direct this zombie film for us, and or this TV episode, and let's talk about some stuff in the future. We'll see. But I think someone mentioned in the comments that a lot of these episodes are like test pilots, right? They're kind of testing the market. How do people respond to Captain Peggy Carter? How are people responding to certain things that we might see in the live action? And I wouldn't be mad if we get some zombies in the MCU in the future, but you know, we'll see what comes with all that. But kind of moving forward in regards to what I thought was pretty funny, and this is a great callback to just how the childlike, the happiness that Peter Parker has as he comes up with this home video of how to survive the zombie apocalypse, which is a great callback to him being introduced in Civil War, his movie that he made in Homecoming, which I thought was great. But I don't know, man. This is a pretty dope lineup of Avengers, to say the least. This is the B team, I guess you can say. As we got Happy, we got Kirk from the Ant-Man films, and then we get the badass characters in a Bucky, in a Okoye, who was incredible in this episode, as well as Sharon Carter, everyone's favorite power broker out there, coming together, as well as Spider-Man to fight the zombie apocalypse. So my question to you, Chris, do you want to see this Avengers 5 be consisting of Happy, Okoye, Spider-Man, as well as Kurt and the people that we got in this? Would you like to see that in Avengers 5? This is your new Avengers team, my friend?
No, this is not my team. But this
And
episode,
Sharon Carter, the power broker, leading the way.
yeah, I mean, they made Sharon stomachable in this episode, and then destroyed her, so it was perfect. Yeah, I do not want to see this, but this episode and this team, they just worked out. And then that Spider-Man video, it was epic because it brought me back to like when Iron Man died and they made that stupid school video. I was like, this is genius. And then I don't even remember the guy from Ant-Man, but he just killed me the whole episode. And when they said we don't have horrors, but because we just watch American reality, and said that was a sick burn for me included. I was like, that's elite writing. I was like, this guy, whoever this guy is great.
Hey man, it makes you want to go back and watch those Ant-Man films with him and T.I. and the whole crew.
I might have to. Then I forgot. I looked it up. I was like, oh, I forgot T.I. was in this damn movie.
I don't think he's coming back for part 3, to say the least. Brandon, man, your thoughts on this wacky Avengers team consisting of Happy and Bucky and Sharon and Okoye and Spider-Man? Would this be something you would like to see in live action? But more importantly, your thoughts on this home video that Peter Parker has made for us?
The home video thing was great. I was smiling as soon as it popped up. I was like, yeah, I love the tone of this. Mm-hmm. And actually, this is something that I would want to see live action. I would love to see this, not in Avengers 5,
right,
and not as a main plot point of the movie, but if it was a subplot,
sure.
Whether it was in a show or just some movie to where all of the main team, were handicapped and their friends and stuff had to come up to save the day or something. I would love to see that. I would love to see it,
or at least at the bare minimum, just like an interaction of some of those characters.
They don't have to be like taking up an hour and a half of the movie,
right?
But if the main Avengers get tied up or imprisoned or something, and they got to come and create a distraction or drive a car through the building or something. I would love to see that. So I love that shot right there. That was Spider-Man was working his ass off. If that's
he was
there,
who was his voice?
Some kid, I can't remember his name right now. It wasn't Tom Holland, but I can't remember the kid's name. But I think he did a pretty good job. To embrace the character and brought the kind of the.
To me, I think it's one of the easiest ones to replace because it's just a kid. Like it's harder to do some of the other more iconic ones.
Now, you guys had your nitpicks earlier. This is one of my nitpicks. That yes, it's cool that they put this up in the sky, but we all know that the Avengers could still fly, which means that I don't know, Iron Man and Doctor Strange could have still found their portal or found their little hideout. So I was just like, that's not a really good I don't know, but that was just like my only nitpick in regards to that moment there. But it was still cool, as you guys said, Peter doing his work and webbing them up and having their little secret lair or spider hideout there. But kind of moving forward in the episode, as Chris alluded to earlier, the joke that Okoye burned everyone on in regards to reality TV, and I thought that was pretty funny. Just the banter between this crew. I truly do, after watching this episode, I want to see a scene with Okoye interacting with Peter Parker. I just want to see them kind of go back and forth and just the jokes and just like, has this kid, this is all he do is watch movies or something? I just want to see them interact. It would be pretty great. But, we see our boy Logan or Happy having the gauntlet from his best friend, Tony Stark, which is, speaking of best friends, I love the moment where Bucky sees Sam, we know Chris's favorite character, which I know he loved that moment of seeing Sam being split in half by Okoye, which, by the way, was brutal. Probably one of my favorite zombie kills in this episode. But seeing Captain America getting taken out by Okoye was pretty brutal. But also Hawkeye getting into the mix, Sharon Carter shooting Logan or Happy in the face was pretty brutal, pretty insane. But again, like I said, I can't applaud them enough for, again, I think we forget that this is Disney Plus and that the fact that we see this moment here between Bucky and Captain America on the train fighting each other, which is a callback to Winter Soldier. And I think all of us in this panel can say that Winter Soldier is in our top 3, if not number 1, kind of solo films in the MCU. But seeing them have that fight there and seeing how it all played out with Bucky saying, "Oh, I guess this is the end of the line, buddy." That line and that callback and that fight, which even no disrespect to Shang-Chi, I still put my money on Cap, Bucky in the streets of Washington in Winter Soldier is still, in my opinion, the best fight in the MCU. But that's just my thoughts. But Chris,
Agreed.
your thoughts? Okay, thank you. I hope I wasn't the only one in that. That fight still gives me chills. But Chris, your thoughts on this sequence of the Avengers, of the zombie Avengers in your favorite Falcon and Hawkeye, which is funny that a Hawk and a Falcon are coming to take on these people. But your thoughts on the scene and is Winter Soldier the best hand-to-hand combat fight?
Yeah, I think so. I thought that was fire. And then, of course, me being a Falcon hater, I loved him killing Cap. Not loved him killing Cap, but that scene was fire. Yeah. But then having him hold the shield, I'm like, he can do it. He can just be the guy. Yeah. But it's not in the cards for my man. But I thought that scene was fire. I love the blam blam blam, like that's just like a random stupid line. But I was like, this is genius. And then she says it too, like no one likes Sharon Carter, and she says some cool shit. I was like, this is. Like, what if it's really what if? Like, what if we didn't hate Sharon Carter? Like, I thought that scene was crazy. That might be that Captain kill. That's got to be a top 3 moment in the whole series by the time we get to the end of it.
He split my man in half, and not only that, there was blood that came out of Captain America after that. Man, the violence in this episode. I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you right now. After seeing this episode, if we don't get blood and Blade. It doesn't have to be. I know it's going to be PG-13. I know Blade's not going to be rated R, but based on this episode, we saw blood in the animated show. I'm gonna need blood and Blade. Brandon, are you agree with me, man? We need some blood.
And Blade. I don't want to see
vampire.
No PG-13
Well, the regular Blade was R, right? Or no?
Right now, it sounds like it's gonna. We use Blade.
The original.
Oh yeah, hard R. And every much so deserve every single R. Watch what they're gonna do, Brandon. They're gonna take this. They're gonna have the blood be green in Blade. That's how they're gonna justify the. Or smoke. There's going to be smoke every time he kills
God. Just water,
Water, exactly.
Yeah.
But your thoughts on this, Brandon? The sequences of Falcon being taken out, and we get Bucky fighting Cap, and that callback to that fight that we get in Winter Soldier.
Yeah, my feelings was hurt when Falcon was taken out. I was just like, damn, he was split in half. You got to do something like that, But I bet Chris was cheering over there, like, yeah.
That's his best moment.
But it was a lot of them, man. Happy getting his face blown off by Sharon with the blam back in his face. Who else died in that episode? In that scene, I can't remember. But yeah, Cap getting split in half.
Yeah, I was gonna say Sharon literally blew up.
She
blew up from the inside. That was gross.
Well. Yeah, that was gross.
Hope. Yeah,
yep.
She was like, "Oh, I got Sharon all over me." That's nuts. So. It was really intense, and it really added that maturity to the episode. Just like, whoa, this is for adults here, not for little kids. So,
which I mean, to bring it, I'm going to pose this question to you, Chris. Man, based on this episode and based on episode 3 of the Avengers dying and Doctor Strange had dark and kind of it wasn't a happy ending whatsoever, man. Is the whole narrative of like Disney can't go dark, is that out of the window, man? Can they get to this level of, again, we're not going to expect any rated R movies except for maybe Deadpool 3, but are you expecting to see some of this more violent and more mature content in future films in the MCU based on an animated show on Disney Plus?
I think they need to realize that people don't even attribute Marvel movies to the Disney brand like we do because we're in the industry. Right. But it's like they should understand that they have this. They should have free reign to do this. If they're gonna make Deadpool 3 R, then make Blade R. Like if I'm doing a remake of a movie that people liked, I'm keeping the same rating. So they should understand, like no like mom or dad is gonna be like, Blade. Well, it's a Disney movie. Let me bring my 4-year-old.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like there's ratings for a reason. Like and people, like. You have to make money for your company, but you also have to please your fans. You have to do a balancing act, and it's 2021. Like, like we're getting more mature. Like you're seeing more graphic things on local television, on regular cable. Yeah. Like if they're not willing to just take the small risk of like putting this shit into the theaters, then they're not in it for the long haul. But I think that people should clearly distinguish Marvel action movies from Mickey Mouse and the parks and these kind of things. I think they should understand that they can do this with no problem.
I hear you, man. And just to bring it to this conversation to you, Brandon, in regards to just, again, understanding that when you go R, you're limiting half in your audience, right? That's why Venom was PG-13, the first one. Now the next one's going to be PG-13 versus something like, Suicide Squad, completely different company, was rated R. And obviously we know there was some factors that played into because that movie did flop. It was a successful film regarding critically, but it did not do well financially. But Brandon, man, this year, your take on this moving forward in the MCU in regards to now, embracing more of the mature nature of these stories, and not to neglect, there has been violent moments in MCU. I mean, literally in Captain America 1, he throws a man into a plane and a body splits in half, and we see Thanos' head get chopped off by Thor. I mean, there's been violence in MCU, but we always say they're not going to go that dark. But I mean, what's your thoughts, Brandon, on moving forward of getting more in the mature nature of some of these darker characters and stories?
I think they absolutely should. It would be a missed opportunity if they don't. Earlier, I was asking a question about how many Disney Plus shows can we get coming up in the next few years. You're talking in with movies. Realistically, I don't see why we wouldn't be getting any less than 6 movies a year and 6 Disney Plus shows a year if things get back on track, if Chippick doesn't mess it up. My point of being that is saying is that that's 12 new properties a year. I don't see why 2 or 3 of them can't be rated R. You're servicing everybody. People really can't complain because majority of it will be PG-13 as it should be. Everything doesn't need to be rated R, but you still have those few select characters to where it would be a huge disservice if it is anything less than R, like Blade, Blade, Morbius, Wolverine, Deadpool, Ghost Rider, maybe another title or 2 that I can't think of off the top of my back.
Like a Punisher type of thing.
Like Punisher, Daredevil.
Punisher, Daredevil. Those. They keep those rated R. Everything else PG-13. And then we don't even have to get those back to back unless you're gonna be doing like a Midnight Sun series and like the whole year will be R. Right. But if you're gonna have that many properties a year, have just 1 or 2 of them. Have Blade come out this year, Punisher the next year, And also, I'm thinking about it more. That movie with Neil Blomkamp, District 9. That was a rated R film. I think as far you make a point as far as yes, you're cutting your audience in half, so you're not going to make as much. Just don't make the movie as expensive. Everything doesn't have to be $200 million or 150. You know what I mean? Like Black Panther. I mean, we have I think the cheapest in the MCU was 130, and that's all the Ant-Man movies. Up to like 250, where it's like Avengers Infinity War Endgame. It can still be cheaper than that. Why are we not getting MCU movies made for 100 million, 75 or 55 million? The budget for District 9 was $30 million, and how good did that look? And there was a lot of gore in that film as well, as far as bodies being body parts being dismembered and disfigured, and blood and explosions and stuff like that. And I don't think that turned any stomachs. So that movie right there is just an example of what they can do with rated R to me, without anyone being squeamish or complaining like, oh, this is too violent, my 8-year-old can't see it. So if somebody wants to use the argument to where it's cut in half and it won't make as much, I mean, we have rated R movies that made a ton, and the production just doesn't have to be expensive. And I don't know, that's just how I feel about it.
Yeah, I mean, both of you guys make great points, man. We'll see, again, what Marvel does with these more violent characters, because I think the only thing that would be a little bit of a hard thing to do is, and they mentioned this with Deadpool, is like, okay, even if you have a Deadpool or Blade or Punisher or Daredevil rated R content, what happens where, as an audience, we want to see them team up with the Avengers, right? And we want to see Blade on screen with Spider-Man, but how does a rated R Blade translate into a PG-13 Spider-Man Avengers type of film? Are they going to have to neuter the character as a Deadpool? Is it not going to be any swear words or heads being chopped off? How do you mix that rated R with a PG-13 audience?
It's easy. You just mix it, and then when in the ensemble film, you just cut all the swear and blood out. You have clever camera edits, good sound effects to intensify the attack or the scene or the death. And This CGI blood warrant a rating, or does it have to be more realistic? I don't know, but
Yeah.
you can. I don't know. I was joking earlier, but you can throw some little water effects in there. You know, change the color, make it purple or dark brown instead of red. You know, when they come together.
There's been dark movies that are not R.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean,
I think, and I don't know like the actual Academy. I don't know how that works, but I feel like a PG-13 movie now is crazier than when I was a kid. A PG-13 movie. I feel like they're allowed to do more now. I don't know if things are changing, but like if you got the R blade and you got to squeeze them into a PG-13, you know, another Marvel movie, I think it's not going to be like
it can be done.
You know,
it can be done.
It's not like Eminem on the radio.
Yeah, exactly. And mother cluckers and all the different words that they come up with.
Cats scratching. like that's the radio. Like,
yeah, man. I mean, and we've seen successful, more violent PG-13 comic book adaptations, whether it be Dark Knight. You know, I mean, my man Joker literally put a man's face in the middle of in a pencil, and that's a mob story, right? So, I mean, I think there's ways to do it. Again, this is an interesting conversation to see what Marvel does move forward, because again, just based on this show alone, it seems like they are seeming to embrace more of the darker elements of their story: zombies, people dying, Doctor Strange losing his love, his life, and result of that destroying the universe. So, I think hopefully they're not afraid to know that they can, you know. Because keep in mind, 2008, those kids that were watching those movies, they're growing up now. So you can now, appease that younger audience. So they're, 18 and 20 now from when they were 13 and 12 seeing these first Avengers films. So hopefully Disney finds a good mixture of appeasing the more violent stuff and still having the more fluffy, Spider-Man, Miss Marvel type of stuff. We'll see. But I'm just hoping that they do a good job at it, because I want my blade to be bloody as it should be. Right. But going back to just as we got the action beats in this episode, what I thought was handled beautifully in the pacing, the transitions from action, fun, jokes to seriousness and emotions and stakes and character moments. And again, based on the 13 years of these characters, we see Hope feeling like it was her fault and everything that went through, because she was, she has a little bite on her arm. She got nicked by Sharon, and we see her and Peter Parker, which I mentioned earlier. This is the first time in my thought process is I think this is the first time we've literally heard this Peter Parker in the MCU utter the words Uncle Ben. The Ben that he lost his aunt, he lost Aunt May, his parents, Tony, and now he's lost, and obviously what he mentioned with Uncle Ben. So this is pretty huge. I wonder if Uncle Ben will make an appearance, like a flashback or something in the next film. But this is where the emotions, like I said, comes in as Hope makes her moment to help everyone out, which I'm not gonna lie, I'm like, this is kind of emotional when she comes out and supersizes herself and drops them off to the facility. But just your thoughts, Brandon, on this transition from all the action beats, all the comedy, to getting a little bit more of the seriousness in these characters as Hope Van Dyke puts her life on the line for the rest of these Avengers.
It was her fault. I kind of spoke on it earlier. It was her fault. She, needs to take responsibility. She made a mess, and it was sad. I really did enjoy Spider-Man in this episode.
It was fantastic.
Yeah, it was the first time we've seen him in the what ifs, and even though it wasn't Tom Holland, I had to hear somebody else talking about it to tell me it wasn't him, because it sounded the same to me. Maybe slightly different.
I'm trying to find someone mentioned in the chat the gentleman's name. But yeah, go ahead, Brent. I'm sorry.
I really enjoyed it. Her going out, her little self-sacrifice was a little over dramatic to me. It wasn't bad, but it was just a little much.
You have no heart, Brandon. You have no heart, man. That was so emotional.
It was it was cool though. It was cool. I mean, watching this episode, especially this scene right here, I was really getting sad when each character was falling off and dying. Yeah. I was like, damn, another one? Crap.
Another one.
Get to the cure, get to Wakanda. Yeah. So it was nice. It was nice.
I agree, man. And Chris, man, your thoughts on this kind of emotional moment of the character here of Hope kind of stepping in, and the whole theme, right, is hope. And that's just, the beauty of that character's name. But just her, as Brandon just talked about, her you know, I don't want to say selfishness, but her wanting to get her mom back and having, you know, obviously Hank going to the quantum realm and how things played out. This is like a whole thing about this show so far is these characters' decisions, and especially in the last 3 weeks with Hank and obviously Hope dying and what that led him to the path that he went on. Doctor Strange losing, you know, now I'm gonna say Karen, thinking of that movie, but whatever her name was. Losing her, how he destroyed the universe. So it just goes to show you, this is what I love about comic book properties and characters. These are the human stories. These are like, they're, you know, if we all had an opportunity to do certain things of bringing a loved one back, you know, some of us might make those decisions. But your thoughts, Chris, on this transition of the more emotional beats that this episode pulled off?
Yeah, I think a lot of this episode was about like personal accountability, which a lot of times we don't see that in the MCU. So that's cool.
Yeah, Wanda.
This scene. Yeah, for sure. Then here she go again.
Christine, really, that was her name.
Yeah, I know. Michael gonna be on his lock her up hashtag, but I think, this part, you know, I wasn't really like getting emotional. I was like, oh, this is a good idea, and then I kept thinking, because I'm like a child, I was like, damn, all the zombies are just grabbing her ass. I was like, oh, I can't grab nowhere else to climb up. That's crazy. And I hated that she said, Peter, can you smile for me, please, or something like that. I was like, that's the cheesiest line in this whole episode.
You guys are heartless, man.
I could not believe that they wrote that line in this episode. But yeah, you know, overall the sentiment is great.
Yeah.
Also, why do we think that that Peter wasn't wearing his mask that much in this episode? Just because it's like everyone else or something? Or
I assume because his identity doesn't matter, because the world doesn't even exist anymore. So why even wear a mask if the world, there's no news, there's no media? That's how I took it. But I don't know. Brandon, did you have any thoughts on him being maskless?
That's a good. I didn't even think of that, but that's a good point, Elliot.
I thought about that the whole time. You might as well wear Nike.
Yeah.
That's why I assume. I mean, it could be just because it's not Tom Holland's face, right? It's just a cartoon animated face. I don't even know if these characters. Do you guys think, as far as animation, these characters resemble a lot of their human counterparts?
I think they were trying
for the most part.
Okoye for sure. Ruffalo they were trying to do.
Yeah.
Peter not so much.
Yeah.
Hope I don't think so. That's not as much.
Yeah.
But in the other episodes for sure you see.
Strange. Sure. Yeah. No, I agree.
Yeah. Bucky was a little different. Bucky's beard threw me off a little bit here, but you can you know it's Bucky.
Well, I know you were excited about this, Chris. We get your favorite poet, who is just been chilling, you know, luring these people in, which again shows us our hero side. He is willing to lure innocent people in to protect his baby mama, his wife, his bride, and that is Wanda. As we get Vision, and we kind of get the rundown of the more darker side of this episode. So we find out, which they add a little comedy. You know, we see Scott is alive, as just his head is back, and I love the jokes that they brought in. You know, he said
real Paul Rudd too.
Real, very on brand with Paul Rudd. What did he say? He lost he's lost weight, but it hasn't gone to his head, and all the pun jokes are pretty funny.
The wordplay is crazy.
It was pretty funny, man. But we get the whole gist of the situation as Bucky's walking around the facility, which, by the way, I don't know why Vision allowed him to walk around the facilities if he knew, you know, what he was trying to hide. But neither here nor there. He walks around and comes across T'Challa, whose leg is missing. But we find out that Mr. Vision, Chris's favorite poet, has been luring people in to have them be snacks for Wanda, which, by the way, zombie Wanda is a terrifying individual. I would
Bucky's
not
shooting at her. What are you doing,
bro? I was down.
Listen, man, I don't know what I would have done if I was Bucky, but she
ran away.
I guess
get out of there.
She was terrifying. And I mentioned I'm a big score fan. I love when the score kicks in and it gets a little bit more of that darker, scarier, sinister moment, and just seeing Wanda come out as Kirk gets taken out first, as he mentions throughout the whole episode, the whole witch and being scared of that. That was pretty legit. Now I got some chills watching. I'm like, okay, like I said, this is a very scary individual. I mean, look at that face there. I mean, is that someone you want to come across in the alley? I want to see this in Doctor Strange 2, because the rumor is she's going to be the villain in Doctor Strange 2. And if we get like not a zombie Wanda, but a more aggressive, villainous version of this, that is a character you do not want to come across. But we see Vision comes to his senses. He realizes that this is a bad thing, which I guess it just took the right people to talk him out of this sinister thing that he's been doing. But we see the crew trying to make their escape. Vision literally plucks the Mind Stone out of his own head, hands it off to Bruce Banner. We get Bruce Banner becoming the Hulk. The Hulk finally comes out after Wanda tries to bite him. I just want to know now, Chris and Brandon, in a one-on-one fight, and I'm talking about Prime Hulk versus Prime, not Scarlet or Wanda, but Scarlet Witch. Who's winning in that fight? Chris, who you got in that battle?
Maybe it's got to be Wanda, because the idea was that Wanda could have beat Thanos, and we know what Thanos did to the Hulk.
Hands on him, yeah. The weak Hulk.
Then, yeah, exactly. But then they say, then it's the Hulk and the MCU is not the real Hulk. So
yeah,
I think it's tough. I think it's tough. But based on the evidence that I have to choose Wanda.
Got to know, Brandon, who's winning that fight, man. Toe to toe.
Wanda, no question.
Wanda, yeah.
Now, if this was Savage Hulk or World War Hulk or something, who knows?
Yeah,
maybe.
But Wanda gonna wax that ass.
Yeah, I mean, all she gotta do is go in his head and just mess with him, right? I mean, again, and this is why I hope. Again, we talked about how Marvel's kind of going back and fixing these characters. Wanda is probably one of the most, as far as the MCU roster, she's the most powerful being in the MCU, and that includes Captain Marvel as well as other powerful beings like Doctor Strange. So I'm really hoping that this new version of Wanda Maximoff, aka Scarlet Witch, really comes through. But wrapping up the episode, they're able to escape the facility. Unfortunately, they do lose some characters. We lose Okoye in the mix. We also obviously lost Hope and all that, but we have T'Challa. And we have him talking to Peter as Peter's talking about how much he's lost and all that stuff. And this is where, again, it hit on another level. Starting with you, Chris, man, as T'Challa says to Peter Parker in regards to where I come from in my culture, when you lose someone, they're not gone forever. Just how that hit you, man, and just knowing, obviously, what Chadwick Boseman passing just 2 weeks ago, the 1 year anniversary, man. How did you feel about that line and just kind of how it came out, hearing it from Chadwick Boseman?
Yeah, it's a heavy line if he didn't pass, and it's a crazy heavy line because he did pass.
Yeah, man.
And that's what I always say. I said it's crazy, but it's a gift when you got art that you could leave behind and keep giving to the world that you left an impression. I was like, this is just some heavy shit. They probably were like, damn, we about to drop this episode. We got this line in here. That's crazy. Like, who would have even thought? Like, that's just the universe. It's a simulation. It's crazy.
Yeah, man. Tossing it to you, Brandon. Hearing, obviously wrapping up the episodes, your thoughts there. But again, hearing Chadwick Boseman and that line there, what it meant to you and how to hit you. But again, just your overall thoughts on how they wrapped up this episode. And I guess we have one more part to talk about, but just up until that point.
Yeah. Well, before I talk about Chadwick Boseman, I just want to go back real quick. I have to say something about Vision. I thought him plucking the stone out of his forehead was stupid. Because he could have just stayed alive and continued fighting and blasted the hell out of people and zombies, or if all else fails, he could have just flew to Wakanda. The goal was to get the stone to Wakanda. He could have just flew there himself and then plucked this out of his head, so that was dumb. I didn't get that.
He didn't want to leave his loved one, Brandon. He didn't want to leave his love of his life. That's why.
This guy's a machine.
That was stupid. But as far as Chadwick Boseman, T'Challa, yeah, man, this was heavy hearing him.
Yeah,
that's when I was speaking earlier, just saying that I didn't expect him to be in the episode, and when he popped up, I was like, there's him, and like Chris said, the line hit hard, and it hits even harder for me because he knew he was sick. He knew that he didn't have a chance of, he knew it was a slim chance, that he would still be here or not. And so it's like he gave the line more emphasis, because he knew that it was going to be his last words. And so like he really wanted us to feel it,
Yeah.
And so it's kind of, it's extremely sad, it just sucks. So, but yeah, it really touched me, on the inside. So.
And we all know, shout out to E-Man, the campaign of hashtag recast T'Challa. Yeah, as says, T'Challa gone forever thanks to Kevin Feige. Again, the way it's looking that way, but we'll see what they do with Black Panther 2 and all that stuff. But again, I thought that was just that line definitely kind of hit us all hard, and it plays perfectly within the context of the episode. It plays perfectly for this character to say that, but then obviously outside of the art, it hits on another level. But as we kind of wrap up the episode, which ties back to the beginning of the episode, why Hulk was there, why Banner was warning them, it's because Thanos, ladies and gentlemen, he's coming to Earth. he's come to Earth and he has all of the stones in his possession, except for one, which we know that the Avengers are making their way to Wakanda. What a cliffhanger. I think Chris set it up top. He would love to see this continued, and I would as well. I want to know what a zombie Thanos with Infinity Stones looks like in this show. I would love to see that. But just your thoughts overall, wrapping up here, this conclusion, starting with you, Brandon, with Thanos and the stones and how they wrap things up. And I guess just throwing another question. Will we get not a continuation, but do you think some of these cliffhangers will get resolutions? Because every episode has been a cliffhanger.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what's the thing. I was so surprised seeing Thanos there in Wakanda with all the Infinity Stones as a zombie. I was like, what? And then it just kind of cuts away. I was frustrated. So he's gonna win. The Avengers already kind of lost, and I don't know. As far as getting like a follow-up, I want one. I don't see why not. Maybe season 2 or what if can be a follow-up of each episode that we saw, or maybe a few select ones. I don't see why not.
Like Donda.
Yeah. So we'll see, man. But this is interesting right here.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And same question for you, Chris, regarding each episode ending on. I think some of them I'm okay with certain cliffhangers. Like I don't need to know.
Exactly,
like
for sure.
No disrespect to Sharon, but like I don't need to know the continue. I assume I know what happens, but into T'Challa's story and all that in episode
Peggy?
2. Peggy, yeah. What did I say, Captain? Yeah, Peggy.
Sure.
I don't think that cliffhanger is like that much of a cliffhanger. We obviously kind of know that they're going to assemble their own Avengers, but this one to me is really interesting, as well as last week's, obviously with Doctor Strange being in the void. But your thoughts on the continuation of some of these episodes, but also just your general thoughts on the ending of Thanos missing one stone.
Yeah, the same thing with Brandon. Like when it ended, it kind of faded weird. I was like, oh, they're gonna keep going, and then I saw like the credits, and I was like, oh, it's over. So I was like, oh, this means that they have to do a part 2. And I was like, damn, like just as I was getting used to like funny, nice Thanos with Chad from episode 2, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm like, here we go, we're back to the fucking dickhead Thanos. But I thought, it wrapped up the episode perfectly. I'm like, damn, like they gave me what I needed, left me wanting more. Like I said, I hope we get some more. Like you said, I agree with you 1,000%. Like we don't need a part 2 for all of these, but we're gonna need some closure on a lot of them.
Yeah,
but we got time. Like, they got that's episode 5, so we got 5 more.
Yeah, we or I think it might be. I think I read it was 9 episodes, but also that might be a rumor because I could have sworn that episode 5 was supposed to be the Party Thor episode because I think they had leaked out.
How do we not know this answer? Like I thought it was 10 the whole time. Like.
Yeah, we'll see what the 10 episodes come out, but I could have sworn that I read somewhere that they had like the leaked of the schedule of how they're going to play out, that this was supposed to be Thor's episode, but apparently that wasn't the case. They kind of switched things up. So we'll see if we get a 10th episode, and we'll see if they will get a part 2 to the rest of it. Because I think the rest of the stories that I'm aware of is Thanos, Gamora, Party Thor. I believe there is the Ultron's going to be like the big bad or something, like Ultimate Ultron. So that's 3 episodes, but we're supposed to have 4 or 5 more. So I wonder what the rest of these episodes going to be.
Google saying this will feature 9 episodes in total. Okay. And then it says the original plan was for 10.
Right. And I think they said that the 10th episode is going to fall into season 2, which I think is coming out next year. But overall, ladies and gentlemen, I thought this episode was pretty fire. Again, being a fan of horror and zombies and Infinity War and zombie kills and action, and also the drama and the jokes and the line that we talked about with T'Challa was fantastic. But any final thoughts from you, Brandon, in regards to this episode and just your general take? I know you mentioned up top that you weren't like blown away by this series thus far, but just based on the last 3 weeks and moving forward, what if, man, in regards to these stories, could it be possible that this show ends up being better than some of the live actions, and a la like an Invincible? How that was this still my favorite comic book IP of the year is Invincible. But your thoughts on this series as a whole, as well as this episode?
I don't know if you were just asking me, is this show as good as Invincible?
No, I'm saying, could it be as far as like as a cartoon animated? Could it possibly supersede any of the live action Disney Plus shows so far as WandaVision, Falcon and Winter Soldier, Loki, or is it has a huge hurdle to climb because it's live action versus animation?
I wouldn't even say a huge hurdle. It has a huge mountain to climb.
Yeah,
not even close, man. Like, I was dying to know what would happen next for all the live action shows.
Yeah.
This one right here, I mean, like I said earlier, I forgot that we had a new episode until this morning. I was just sitting there like, oh yeah, it is Wednesday morning, and so, and I don't mean to say that like I'm not
I know
enjoying
what you
the
say.
show.
Yeah, I know. I get
It's
what
just like I'm just not as excited. I enjoyed this episode, but I'm just not as excited. I'm not even going to look to see what next episode is, episode 6. I'll just know if it comes across my news feed or something like that, So, well, I mean, I haven't even been. I stopped covering. The last one I covered was episode 2. Gotcha. I just haven't been enthused. Not saying not saying it sucks. It just,
I understand.
It's just kind of.
I think we can agree though, because I know you watch a lot of animated stuff, Brandon. This is the best. Not in regards to the TV shows like Spider-Man and X-Men, but in regards to like in the last like 5 or 7 years with Marvel animated, this is like the best animation.
I know exactly where you're going. Yeah. Yes. Mm-hmm. They had a few good titles like the live action, not the live action, silly. The Doctor Strange animated movie that came out like 10 or 15 years ago. That was dope. Mm-hmm. The Ultimate Avengers 2005. That came out was dope, and like maybe versus like Thor versus and Wolverine versus, right. Those are cool. But I like this better than the versus thing, But
I do as well.
Marvel animation sucks for the most part, so
it does. They lack in that
years. It's not. Yeah.
It will be so interesting, Brandon, if they end up after this first season, we end up seeing a lot of these. Again, the rumor out there is that maybe Captain Carter will make her way into Doctor Strange 2. Supreme Doctor Strange will be a cameo in Doctor Strange 2. If we start to see some of these animated stories and characters make their way into the live action, will that tone change from you in regards to the importance of maybe a season 2 that we can look forward to some of these characters if this show has the huger implications to the live action side of it?
That'll work. I'm down for that. So that'll entice me.
Yeah, I agree, man. Same with you, Chris, in regards to just your thoughts overall on this wrapping up the episode, but just how are you feeling for episodes of this show? And does it in your rankings, does it have any chance of superseding any of the live action that we got so far in regards to the Disney Plus shows?
No, it doesn't. But I always separate animated from live action, like no matter what it is, like Spider-Verse is probably the best Spider-Man movie we have, but I don't even put it in the conversation because it's animated. It's like it's not like you just can't be in that conversation because it's a cartoon. Like this is a show. Like if I was a kid, like it's just good television.
Oh, dude, if I was a kid, man, I'll be shouting over the moon for this show.
And before it started, I always said like I didn't want this show to have implications to the MCU. Yeah. Like we just got 3 shows back to back. We got movies coming back in the theaters. Like I thought this would be like a cute little thing on the side, like, oh yeah, what if? So I'm like, I liked it just far and away. Yeah. So I don't need it to tie in. If it does, then okay, no problem. But like I just enjoyed having this as like a little like appetizer on the side. Like this is good content. We're bringing a lot of the actors back, which is a huge because I didn't even expect that. That's a huge win. And they're taking it serious when it comes to the writing. So like I have no complaints with this show at all. It's been 5 episodes. And there's no duds. I just think they're just doing well. But it is what it is. Like it's in its own little bubble.
Right. That's and then that's a much longer, deeper conversation in regards to the animation side of it versus live action. Is there ever a chance of like that superseding the live action stuff? Because I think there's, to me personally, like you mentioned, Spider-Man Into Spider-Verse to me is like number. Probably 1 like Spider-Man stories, but in regards to when you compare it to the Sam Raimi's or some of the stuff we're getting with Tom Holland, it's a little bit harder there. But I don't know, man. Maybe Marvel's able to change that narrative. But like Brandon said, at least they're stepping the game up in the animation department because they've been slacking for years. DC, we always have the conversation. Competitively speaking, the DC is like years behind. But the DC animation is like destroying Marvel. Right. But it looks like Marvel might be changing that narrative.
And to me, DC anime, it's not as good as it was back in like 2010, 2012.
Yeah, they've been slipping a little bit. Like
the Superman, Batman Apocalypse is still one of the best ones.
I like that Red Hood. I don't watch a lot of them. Like,
I was about to Fire. Red Hood is one of the best.
I love Flashpoint. Yeah.
So. Yeah.
That's true, man. But again, it looks like, because I think a couple months ago they came out and said that they have like their own Pixar animated department. They're really going in on animation and Marvel. So don't expect season 2 just to be the last thing of animation. They want to maybe make animation movies, and I don't know. Maybe I'm kind of with you, Chris. I don't know if it all has to connect, but we're so trained to be like, whoa, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Right. What is this character in here? And this, that, and the third. And is it, as we talked about, is it a pilot to introduce something like they do in the comics? They sometimes introduce a comic book character and then play it out there, throw it out there, and see how the audience takes it. So
like they really put Doctor Strange's cape on Spider-Man. Everybody's like,
yeah, it was fire. And we're gonna get that hot toy for $3,000 coming out for that.
Yeah, facts.
But listen, man, we can nerd out, geek out about this stuff for hours, man. And I appreciate Chris and Brandon and everyone in the chat joining in the conversation, having a good discussion. There's been a lot of great stuff that we talked about tonight, gentlemen. I can't thank you enough for joining me tonight. But we're gonna wrap it up. It's getting late out here. Got to take the dog out. I know Brandon got stuff to do. You know, my man Chris got boats to buy and all that stuff, and then rooting for the Knicks and all that stuff. But listen. It's been a pleasure, gentlemen. Chris, if you want to start off with the outros, man, and what's coming next, where can we see you next, and any final thoughts from you, my friend?
Yeah, for sure. If you guys just tuning in, you're late. I'm just joking. You guys can, of course, find me at Tait's Take. What's coming up for me next? I got a couple Netflix shows on the way, but I might sneak in at Amazon, even though I don't like Amazon. They be hating on me, but it's all good. But yeah, you guys can find me at Tait's Take. All my information is in the bio. I love coming on here every week, talking with you guys, and especially a treat, you know, doing it with Brandon, because, you know, this is a dude I've been watching even before I had a channel. So it's always a surreal moment to just get to hang with people that you just watch and just admire from afar. So Elliot, always shout out to you for facilitating these meetups, and then the energy in the chat today was top tier. I love this is a positive energy. Like, nobody be beefing in there. It's just elite. It's just a good little groove in there. So shout out to y'all, and then we'll see y'all next week.
Definitely, man. I can't wait to see what episode 6 or 5 has up its sleeve, and also, or episode 6, and also what other new Marvel news we'll get as Bob Chapek has retired from Disney. God. It'll be the headline for for Brandon, and that Kevin Feige is leaving to go fix DC. But speaking of Brandon, man, just my opinion, always a pleasure, man, to have you on the channel, man. Always love hearing your thoughts on stuff, man. I can't wait to chop it up with you probably on Sunday with your great live stream that you host. But what's next, man? Are we talking Karen sequel this week, Brandon?
Hey.
And then explain and what have you? What's next on just my opinions, my friend?
Yeah, man, I honestly don't know what I have coming up next. Well, first, Elliot, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure. You know, I got you. You're always coming over on my channel, helping me out. So, you know, I appreciate none but love. And yeah, Chris, I gotta get you over there sometime too, man. You know, I'm working out different personalities and stuff coming together on my channel. And so I'm kind of learning how the best way to go about that.
Just I'm ready whenever, but just know I'm toxic. So just put me with the toxic people.
Oh man. Okay. I'll keep that in mind.
Just kidding.
As far as my channel, yeah, go check out my camera review. I posted that. Also, the latest video I posted this past Sunday, I kind of went in on Shang-Chi, just how I was not blown away by the martial arts, and I kind of went in for about 20 minutes on what I wanted to see, and I edited in some old school kung fu clips and you know, kung fu hustle, just fight scenes that I'm into. So go check that out. It's a really geek moment of me expressing myself, how I feel about martial arts and stuff. So that was fun. Yeah, right there at the top.
The top one.
Yeah. I'm
happy, guys. My man Brandon's.
yeah. Go read the title. Why can't we get this form of martial arts and Shang-Chi and all? Anyway, check it out. But as far as what I have coming up next, I don't know. We're just gonna have to see. But you can check it out and you know, just geek out with me and let me know what you think. And so yeah, you just subscribe and you'll see what I have coming out next.
Definitely, man. Nice. I'm excited to see the reviews that you have for Power. I still haven't watched Power, by the way, Brandon, but I love the discussions you have every week with that show. And not to get on the side tangent, but 50, man, he said some stuff the other day. I'm just like, what the hell? Which, by the way, not to end on a somber note, you know, we lost a pretty talented individual of the day, Michael K. Williams. Thoughts and prayers go out to his family. What a talented individual, man. What an incredible loss to, obviously the film industry, but also his family and friends. But yeah, 50, man, some of the comments he made the other day was like very questionable, but neither here nor there. Again, rest in peace to Michael K. Williams. But again, Brady, I'm a big fan of your reviews on that show and all the stuff you do on your channel.
Thank you.
No doubt, man. Well, hey, this Friday, as they allude to, I don't think there's any big releases coming out this week, guys. So if you haven't already, go check out Shang-Chi for a first time, second time, or fifth time. The movie's doing great, and I hope it continues to do great in the theaters. And maybe this is the weekend I catch up with Power or what am I else behind? Cobra Kai. I got some shows to catch up on, so maybe I'll use this weekend to catch up on those shows. But neither here nor there. To Brandon, as well as Chris and everyone in the chat, we appreciate you all. Make sure before you head out to like the video, share the video, leave your thoughts in the comments, continue the conversation, and of course support these wonderful content creators on the screen right now. So with all that being said, you guys have been awesome. We'll catch you on the next one.
Shout out to Zia Maria Mara Sharice and Cutie Pie in the chat.
Yes, sir.